it's that time of year where you're thinking about buying gifts and you're thinking about buying things for other people, right? Because it feels better to give than receive. Not this year. I think you need to write all that off. Okay. Don't buy any gifts. Don't buy any food. Don't buy toilet paper. Use the hose outside if you need to. What you need is this new M1 Mac, and I'm going to tell you why here in just a sec, okay? So I want to give a huge shout out to Max Tech. If you're not familiar with Max Tech, great channel. And I actually think he's in Washington as well, which I like. It makes us friends if we're in the same geographic region. So I'm going to try and hang out with him. I'm probably going to just show up at his house and see if he calls the cops or not. But he has a great tech channel, and he's making all sorts of videos comparing different Apple products. And he made some videos in the last week comparing the new M1 Mac Mini to the decked out, the last version decked out Intel i7 Mac Mini, and also the new 13-inch MacBook Pro M1 to the 16-inch MacBook Pro with Intel chips. And dudes, I'm telling you, these performance benchmarks that I'm about to show you are not believable. They are not believable. These M1 Macs are completely insane. And I apologize. I know I say this every week now, okay? But I'm about to show you some benchmarks that I just pulled snapshots out of his videos, and I'll link to his videos in the show notes. Max Tech on YouTube. You can just Google it. MAXTECK. And, or TC. I'm not sure.
TECK.
I think it might be TK. MEMAXGZF 0.K. I'll have to look it up and put it in the show notes. But let me go into browser mute here. I want to show you guys this. Let me make this big for dramatic impact, okay? All right. You guys get a inside look at the show notes here because I didn't prepare to bring these into another window. Check this out. This is so I'll talk you through all this if you're listening to the audio. I'm looking at some screenshots of benchmarks. This is the Geekbench 5 single score CPU. This is the M1 Mac Mini versus the Intel Mac Mini, the last generation, fully decked out, right? So 6-core i7. The single-core CPU speed is 58% faster on the M1 Mac than it is on the Intel Mac Mini. Now, that might not be surprising to some of you, but that's a huge performance increase, right? Let's take a look at the Geekbench 5 Metal GPU score increase. M1 Mac Mini got a score of 22,718. The Intel Mac Mini only got a 4,928 score. That means the M1 Mac Mini is 460% faster in Metal GPU benchmarks. 460% faster. Okay. Here is.
Would that be noticeable?
You might notice that in real life. Here is more of a real world type of test. This is a transcoding test, right? So you're working in video, Final Cut Pro, and you're transcoding whatever you have in your timeline to, a different video format. In this test, this was an R5, a Canon R5 encoding test. Now, if you know anything about the Canon R5, the files are very difficult to work with. Most machines will just completely come grinding to a halt because these files are not well supported yet. They will be in the future probably, but even like the $15,000 Mac Pro has a hard time with these files. Check this out. So this is an encoding test, a 1-minute clip of video, right? The Intel Mac Mini did it in 3 minutes. The M1 Mac Mini did it in 26 seconds. That means the M1 Mac was 692% faster than the previous generation Intel Mac Mini, okay? I'm going to keep going. I could do this. I could probably do a whole hour on this with all these benchmarks. These are only some of them, okay? Max Tech, it is TECK, or TECH. There you go. See? Corrected. I corrected the record. Xcode benchmark, your developer, right? The Intel Mac Mini did the test in 205 seconds. The M1 Mac did the test in 120 seconds, which means the M1 Mac is 171% faster in this test. Now, let me just stop here and caveat with this. this is a base level M1 Mac Mini that we're talking about here. This is not even the one with 16 gigabytes of RAM. So you're comparing a base level Mac Mini to a fully decked out previous generation Mac Mini with all the bells and whistles, right? So even though this machine isn't spec'd the same as the last gen Mac Mini, it's still got this unbelievably powerful performance. Are you guys seeing Bigfoot yet? I think I see him. He's over there. Let's get back into it. There he is. I spotted him. Okay. A 1 minute H.265 HEVC stabilization test, right? Okay. So HEVC, hard for computers to work with. Most of them have a hard time. They struggle with it. The stabilization test took the Intel Mac Mini 43 seconds. It took the M1 Mac Mini 9 seconds. That's 470% faster. 470% faster, okay? Is your mouth watering yet? Is your beard damp? I got more. I think we got 2 more. I'm saving the best for last. In the Bruce X test, so the Bruce X test is basically like a stress test for your GPU, okay? So now it gets interesting. Here we have the M1 Mac Mini versus the decked out Intel Mac Mini, but then also versus the Intel decked out Mac Mini with a eGPU, which is the 5700 XT that they're using, which is a really powerful graphics card, okay? The Intel Mac Mini got a 104 score. Lower is better, by the way. The M1 Mac Mini got a 15. And the Intel Mac Mini with eGPU, the 5700 XT, got a 14. So the M1 Mac Mini with built-in GPU, Apple's built-in GPU, system-on-a-chip GPU, is basically as fast as an eGPU with a 5700 XT eGPU plugged in. That's like the eGPU combo right here. This is probably like, I'm going to guess $800 worth of extra equipment. The M1 Mac Mini matches it in the Bruce X tests. I can't even say it. I'm so excited. Okay, get your Band-Aids on. This is the last one. I know many of you, I'm sorry, I should have warned you. You should put your Band-Aids on, and there might be some burstage happening here. You're going to have to seek a plastic surgeon to reconstruct your nips. And if they're not fully engorged yet, this last one's going to send them into overdrive, so I've warned you. This is the R5 10-bit 422 HEVC 5-minute clip with no LUT. So this is a straight clip, right? So this is a 10-bit 422 HEVC 5-minute clip. Check this out.
I had to say, but what the heck does any of that mean?
It's so easy to say. Just stumbles right off the tongue.
I know this might sound confusing for many people, but these are measures of image quality. So 10-bit. So it's not an 8-bit file. It's a 10-bit file, which means that it has an extra, there's a lot of extra color information present in the file, okay? 422 is the way the 10-bit is sampled. So it could be 420 or 422. So basically 422 means there's extra information within the clip. HEVC means that it is the newer H.265 format, which H.264 is really common in video compression and video encoding, I should say, and H.265 is the like the future version. That's what Apple uses on their phones. Like when you record a video, it's H.265. Okay, and a lot of computers today struggle with H.265. They're just not ready for it yet, okay? Including some recent computers like the iMacs and like the Mac Pro, okay? So let me jump back into it. This is the final benchmark here. So the R5 10-bit 422 HEVC file, 5-minute clip. In the encoding test, the Intel Mac Mini did it in 20 minutes, 20 seconds. The Intel Mac Mini with the 5700 XT eGPU did it in 10 minutes and 55 seconds. The M1 Mac Mini did it in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. That means the M1 Mac Mini is 673% faster in this test than the Intel Mac Mini, which did it in 20 minutes and 20 seconds. And it's 366% faster than the Intel Mac Mini with the eGPU bolted on. You guys ready for this? I think I sprained myself. I did this in my video the other day. I babied so hard that I think I sprained something in my side. So there you go. I hope that wasn't too boring. Was that boring, guys?
Not at all.
What? Huh?
I know for
Leonard
Leander.
just woke up.
Leander just arose from his slumber. But I know for a lot of you who are watching this, who are looking at this from a performance perspective, maybe you're a video editor, you're like, this is insane. All that, let me just summarize it by saying this. All that to say, I think the M1 Mac Mini is probably the best Mac that you can buy right now. I don't think I would buy anything else. It's $900. You can get the base version, and you can have an unbelievably powerful video editing and audio editing, screaming fast performance machine. I mean, it's beating the $15,000 Mac Pro in some tests. It's beating the iMac Pro. It's beating the iMac, destroying them. I mean, as you just saw in many of these tests that I just showed you, it's not just winning by a little bit. It's winning by a lot in a lot of these tests. Now, these tests were versus the Mac Mini from last generation. But I've seen tests like this where it's the 13-inch MacBook Pro, the new one, the M1, versus the 16-inch MacBook Pro versus the iMac. And these results are true across the board. The M1 Mac is just it's unbelievable. The performance increases are just insane. And this is just the first version. The performance version, whatever they use for the 16-inch MacBook Pro, I'm assuming that it's not going to be the M1 Mac. The version that they use for the iMac Pro, these are going to be powerhouse chips. They're going to deliver benchmarks unlike anything that we've ever seen before. And probably when you see them, your brain is going to not be able to comprehend the information in such a way that it's just going to start leaking, and you're going to start shooting brain juice out your ears onto your jackets and your friends who are sitting to your left and your right. Hey, thanks for checking out this clip of the CultCast. You know, we broadcast the show live every Thursday around 11:45 a.m. Pacific time on the Cult to Mac YouTube channel. That's live.thecultcast.com, live.thecultcast.com. We invite you to come hang out and join us as we do the show. We may not have the best information. We may not be the most accurate, but let me tell you one thing. No one's having more fun than us every single week, as you can see. So come check it out, live.thecultcast.com. I'll see you this Thursday.